Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show. When there's one Greg. And there's two Gregs. Hi, Gregs. Oh, y'all are really far out.
Hi. Do you want to turn on his microphone?
Yeah, it should be on. Test?
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, much better.
It was on.
Are you sure?
It's been on. It has been on. What?
I don't know if I appreciate your sass.
Oh, don't
going
even
on
start
here?
with me, sir.
Hello. Welcome on into the pre-show before the free show. I thought I had something for Greg Powers, and then I didn't. No, it's gone. It's into the ether. No, I didn't. I don't know where it went.
Man, this is going great.
This is going great. I'm having a great time.
Well, luckily, this is, the pre-show.
this is the
real show is going to be great.
Guys, the real show, we've talked about it. We've planned it. There's a rundown, right? There's not a rundown.
You're just asking for the computer to just decide it wants to quit
well, you
3 minutes into it.
or the computer operator to quit 3 minutes into it and be like,
I could do that
I'm
as
just
well.
gone.
Yeah,
Peace.
what happens if I just get up one time and don't come back? And I'm not talking about job wise. I'm just talking about I just walk out there and go sit at my desk.
I mean, I could hop it. I am not completely
No, you've gotten better.
I've gotten better. I'm not complete.
You're still tripod guy, but
joke on that
yeah.
system. I've done it before.
I Googled news just to maybe give us a pre-show topic, just to talk about
I
something.
Googled news.
I Googled news.
That's a second weird Google. I won't name the first.
Yeah, please don't.
But
guess what?
what?
There's no good news.
No, it's all bad.
It's all bad news.
Everything, all the news is bad. Nobody's having a good time.
Okay, here.
Nobody likes anything.
We were talking about
Life is just a
concerts
series
earlier.
of-
When
yes.
is the have you been to a concert?
We're gonna
since,
talk about that pervert
well, we
you're
don't
gonna go see?
we don't have to talk about Grev's concert, but I'm just saying, have y'all been to a concert recently?
No.
Yes, for sure. I have not. I have continued to go to concerts, especially since I got
You got the vax.
Yeah.
What concert?
I went to Charlie Crockett twice.
Oh, nice.
That's good.
So they were really good both times. One of the times I saw him in the McKinney the McKinney courthouse.
So it was an early Christmas present, and my wife had to give it to me because the event was happening before Christmas. And I think I've told the story on the air, but we were going to go see Ben Folds with the Dallas Symphony Orchestra.
Oh wow,
Mm-hmm.
that was
Ben Folds
pretty cool.
If you don't know, Ben Folds is Ben Folds 5 is one of my all-time favorite bands, and Ben Folds is, I think, genius, and I've seen him a couple of times in concert. And so with the DSO, and he had to
Cancel it.
And so that was going to be the concert.
I did miss a ton of concerts that I had tickets for during the pandemic. It was really sad, but I think I also went and watched Whiskey Myers in Las Colinas. I can't remember, was that the Toyota
Music Factory?
Yeah, Toyota Music Factory. That was my first time.
That's
And
a
now
cool
you're
little
gonna
area over
little
there.
venue. Yeah.
And it is. And now you're going to go see Rob Schneider's daughter.
Yes, I am. And happy Valentine's Day, sweetheart.
So you're going to go see Elle King. We looked this up. Who's Rob Schneider's daughter?
That's a note worth knowing.
We were playing one of her music videos.
We had to figure out who she is.
Yeah, we had to figure out who she is.
It was big.
Since I had committed.
We've all heard this song, but had no idea who sang it.
2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
3 years ago, she had a hit, and it was all over there. Because even I, guy who doesn't listen to radio, had her it had through the zeitgeist absorbed into my brain. I was like, oh, that. But then we watched the music video. Good Lord, how lewd! The lewd video. Pickle loved it.
I did not say that. I did not really enjoy it, to be honest with you.
What she
there
said
were
there were parts
that weren't bad.
Yeah.
Which parts?
Well, there were some attractive guys on there.
Yuck. Yuck. Anyway,
Yeah,
I don't think we should.
I think that was the point of the music
I don't think
video.
we should. Yeah, and I just don't think we should be objectifying men like that.
Anyway,
Well,
I'm
there
looking
was-
forward to the concert because it makes my wife happy, and I'm not going to change the way I feel about that.
Yeah, no, and listen, we've all got to do things about
yeah,
that.
Tepper's real big on hating on people's concert choices.
I am
Let me
not.
tell you.
I am not. Wait,
Let-
no, well,
let me-
your
let me
concert
tell
choice.
you.
You went. Who did you? It was with your mom, right?
Yeah.
You and Trish.
Dude, I went.
You went and saw
Pitbull.
for the third time.
For the third time. Listen, I'm not saying he's some sort of lyrical genius. I'm saying he puts on a heck of a performance.
Dale.
Mr. Worldwide, that's
Mr. 305.
That's my guy. Okay.
I have to say,
I don't think I've seen anybody 3 times.
You can't judge a concert by its cover, because one of the best concerts I've ever been to is Taylor Swift.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
here we go. I'm just saying, there's some people. There are some people that I really, really like listening to their music, like on Spotify, and they put on a terrible show.
They're really.
So it's like,
I don't know much about the show, but it was VIP tickets, all you could eat, chicken cordon bleu and filet mignon, and all you could drink for free. And I had a blast. I have to tell you, it was a great concert.
Dude, I'll go listen to a guy fart in a microphone for 3 hours if I can have that. My God.
Oh, see,
it was great.
Let's go. We're getting some Pitbull love going in the comments here. Daniel Sanchez, let's go. That's what's up. The people understand.
It really was. I'm not the first person to make this comment, but Taylor Swift re-released an album, which is a bold move, and the same night that Silk Sonic put out their album, Silk Sonic, which is the Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak like duo, and I think it was the first one. I think duo was TFT's own Joel Anderson. He was like, "It's a big 2 Americas night." It's a big 2 Americas night. It's going to be a certain subset of people who are very excited about Silk Sonic, and a certain subset of people who are very excited about Taylor Swift, and there's not a ton of crossover between them. Anyway, I haven't heard the new Taylor. Have you heard the new Taylor Swift?
I think it's old, right? Like it's a new old.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
Imagine being so big that you can just re-record your own stuff and sell it again.
Yeah, it's like super extended. I haven't listened to it, which is out of the ordinary, I guess, for my demographic. But
I don't want to draw the ire of the Swifties.
Yeah.
I've just
a very strong group.
Yeah, I've just never understood her appeal. It's just like that's fine if that's your thing. Cool.
I've seen her in concert.
And there's a lot
before.
of there's a lot of I know there's a lot of people who get a lot of like inspiration from her, and they find her to be very like a role model and things like that, and she expresses her emotions in a way that resonates with people, and I respect that. Certainly the music just has never done it for me.
That's fair.
Like, and there's definitely
can't connect with the lyrics.
No, I can't. And then the other thing is that
you don't want to cry about your boyfriend breaking up with you or something in your room.
Yeah, for example, it's like Pitbull. Yeah, I can get into that. I'm never gonna go see him in concert, because what kind of psychopath would go to him, see his concert either 1 or 3 times?
My mom went the next night. She
went twice in a row.
Yeah, her and her friend, because they came up and they went. We went in Dallas, and then they drove down to Austin and went the next night. So
there are just some things that you would go to see that you just couldn't have a bad time at, and I think that Pitbull would be one of those. T-Pain.
Oh, dude, I would get so pumped.
Have you ever had a bad time listening to T-Pain? And like all my real country music listeners that are listening to this right now are going to lambast me for saying this, but name a time, even though they're not country, but name a time that you've had a bad time listening to Florida Georgia Line.
You get the hell out of my studio.
Name a bad time. If you're listening to Florida Georgia Line, you're probably somewhere that you're having a pretty good time.
If you're listening to Florida Georgia Line.
They opened for the Taylor Swift concert that I was at. That was a long time ago. Yeah, it was.
In the words of Gabe Brooks, goal.
Gabe, don't listen to this. I said Florida Georgia Line. I don't want to see the text.
Awful. Hit the theme expo. Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a program on the internet. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine. TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live on TexasFootball.com, on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Twitch, or you listen to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local, mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She's the Duchess of the Dorks. She's Ashley Pickle. Hi, Ashley Pickle.
Hi, Greg Tepper.
Hi, I have something. Can you put the camera on yourself? Because I want to get the instant reaction on this.
Oh, no.
Can you just just please?
I don't like this.
Okay, Just please. I just got a text message from a number I don't recognize, and all it says is Luca is the GOAT. Today
Darn it.
is Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. 8 days until Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to Rachel McAdams.
Also, Brent Holman's son, Gavin.
Oh, happy birthday,
with
Gavin.
the awesome hair.
Happy birthday,
13
Gavin.
today, a teenager today.
Nice.
So happy birthday.
You've got the lettuce.
Yeah.
The lettuce.
The lettuce is 13.
It's episode 1284. Sitting to my right, it's Greg Powers. Next to the
What's
left.
up, y'all?
Hey, buddy. It's good to see you.
Great to see y'all.
We were having a conversation beforehand, and something I want to make sure I want to close the loop here. Another concert that I think that it's possible to have a bad time at. Pat Green.
yes.
Okay.
I've seen Pat Green twice, 3 times.
If
maybe?
he finishes his show.
That's the big question, which is
It's
it's a dicey
not
proposition
often.
sometimes, because that man is sponsored by Miller Lite.
Yes.
Anyway, on today's show, guys, we got This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Then, back half the show, Powers caught up with the big offensive lineman of those Golden Sandstorm. Offensive lineman Caden Carr from Amarillo. We will hear from Caden Carr coming up here at the back half of the program. Do we have first 4 through the door?
We sure do. It was Rob Hadaway, Christo Fire 100, retired Terry S. Crawford, and Tony Blaylock. Welcome in, fellas.
We will sort this out
Yeah.
of who that is, but for now I'm going to say 11-0 Abbott Panthers.
Yeah.
Big game this week against the Panthers. We will sort this out. Identify yourself, other Terry Crawford, so that we know how to deal with this. All right. Are we doing This Week in Recruiting first, or are we doing something else? Okay, fine. I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers, and this is This Week in Recruiting. It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers and Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter, Next Level D1. See his fine work at texasfootball.com/recruiting. And, of course, this is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express. Chicken Express, it makes you feel good.
Don't forget about them on Thanksgiving. If you need to pick up some sides.
Ooh.
That's not bad. Yeah.
That's a smart play.
That is really smart.
Yeah. No, I might have to.
Or like, especially like
Company.
appetizer.
We've got a family call tomorrow to discuss like the
Dude, that is serious.
coming in for a landing.
You are not lying. You weren't joking. You guys are serious about Thanksgiving.
Oh, I have a whole. I have
like a
a whole
plan,
Word
man.
document.
Yeah, dude. You think I'm some fly by night dude? No. Thanksgiving's my Super Bowl.
I'm going with we're trying the Greenberg turkey this year for the
Nice.
Okay.
So
All right.
we
I will need a review.
We didn't do the Cajun turkey that you recommended. We did try the Greenberg, and thanks to Texas assistant coach Chris Gilbert for pointing me in the right direction, hopefully.
What a weird life we lead. This week in recruiting, Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. Let's start with our prospect on the rise. Let's go to 2023 Lake Belton safety and outside linebacker Javion Wilcox. He's got a couple of in-state offers this week from UTSA and SMU. There's a lot of things you may not have heard of in this sentence. One of them is Javion Wilcox, which is fine. Just a junior this year, still kind of rising up the recruiting charts. But also Lake Belton, the newest program down there in Central Texas. But he is a guy who can help put this young program on the map.
We had Lake Belton head coach Brian Cope on a few weeks back to kind of talk about his program, which direction they were going in. And Wilcox was one of those guys who really jumped out to me on tape, and he agreed that he was going to be a big-time guy, and now it's nice to start to see some of those offers start to come in. UTSA and SMU are very perceptive and seem to get a head start on some of the fast-rising talent in the state of Texas. And Wilcox, I think he's got 2 offers. Just people who are going to look at the recruiting notebook this week and see his photo may just offer him based on his physical attributes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this dude is fearsome, and he plays that way on tape. He's a headhunter at safety who probably has the size and frame to move up into the box at the next level, and I think that's where colleges are starting to look at him. And if you want to read more on Javion Wilcox, we have some comments from Coach Cope, who kind of gives a deeper dive on what he's bringing to the table in this week's notebook.
Yeah, that is a name to know. There is Javion Wilcox. They call him Boom.
But yeah, isn't that a great?
Excellent
good.
defensive nickname. Yeah, like if you're I feel like if you're a quarterback and your nickname's Boom, that's not necessarily
Not the
amazing.
same.
No.
But if you're a safety and your nickname's Boom,
Love it.
things are going well for you. Let's get to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week is Julian Humphrey, the Clear Lake cornerback, who is a DCTF 4-star prospect. He's the number 20 in our Dave Campbell's Texas Football Hot 100, which you can find at texasfootball.com/recruiting. He has committed to Georgia. He had offers. He was most seriously considering Texas A&M and LSU, but he decides to go with the number 1 team in the land presently, the Georgia Bulldogs. Yeah, I mean, this strikes me as that kind of big corner that everybody's after right now, and he's certainly got all the tools to be elite.
I should have researched this, but I'm almost positive that Julian Humphrey was one of those guys who was picked in the class of 2022 top 25 DCTF Rising magazine back in circa 2018, maybe something like that. So he's been a name who's been on our radar for a while now, and he played both ways at Clear Lake before really settling in as a cornerback recruit at the next level. He racked up over 30 offers throughout the recruiting process, and he's just that type of guy. He was a one-time Florida commit. We profiled him a few weeks back and kind of predicted that he would end up at Georgia based on the timing of everything. And he just has the hip flexibility, the size, the speed, and just the overall ball skills to be one of those guys who could not only excel in college but excel at a program like Georgia. And I think he's a guy that we'll hear his name called on NFL Draft Day one day. That's the type of skill that he's bringing to the table. Love the way he's grown within that program. He's a guy who knows he's good now, and that's the attitude that you have to play with entering a program like UGA that's number 1 in the country, and to lock down, if you're matching up with Jamison Williams on the other side of the football, who's going to be one of the top 2 picks probably in the draft this year. If those are the type of guys that you're matching up with week in and week out, you got to play with the chip on your shoulder. And Humphrey understands now that he has the talent to match up with anyone.
Yeah, most certainly. He is a guy certainly to keep an eye on as he's heading to the SEC with the Georgia Bulldogs. We're talking This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete, here on Texas Football Today. You can involve the conversation, #TF Today. Let's move on to our Underclassman of the Week. Our Underclassman of the Week, we talked about this last night at dinner. Post outside linebacker and defensive end Isaiah Crawford had a couple of days ago decommitted from Baylor. He has committed to Texas Tech. This feels like it's got Joey McGuire's fingerprints all over it, right?
I think we're going to be talking about Texas Tech a lot more. Don't you? I get that feeling now. This is 2 weeks in a row.
Joey McGuire, we talked about it. We talked about how he strikes us as the kind of guy who is going to go out there, and the guys that we really like, and we're like, hey, like those hidden gems that we think could be those stars at the next level that's not getting enough attention. He's the one who's going to mine those. And Isaiah Crawford, especially, ticks all the boxes, right? West Texas, small school, big time playmaker. Got to keep him home, and that's what he did here.
Future DCTF 4-star Isaiah Crawford. We dropped 3 5-stars yesterday, the first 3 5-stars in the class of 2023. That was checking in at number 1, Allen defensive end DJ Hicks. Number 2, El Campo running back Ruben Owens. And number 3, Denton Ryan linebacker Anthony Hill. We're going to follow that up with some more 4-stars to be announced in the coming days, and Isaiah Crawford will be one of those names. I'll go ahead and give you a spoiler on that. At the time that he committed to Baylor, we actually reflected that this is the type of guy that Texas Tech couldn't afford to lose. Now, lo and behold, fast forward the clock a few months into the future, and he's flipped his commitment from Baylor to Texas Tech, essentially. These are the guys that they need to get. And, if Texas Tech wants to be relevant on the defensive side of the football, you can't let a superstar from West Texas go to Baylor, right?
Yeah.
That's a loss that you really can't afford to have. And they've picked up 5 commitments in the Joey McGuire era thus far, and 4 of those come on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's important to note. But to me, out of all the guys that they've gained commitments from, he's the best one so far, has the most upside, could be a true speed rushing presence in that Texas Tech defense that can get after the quarterback and, be a constant pain to Big 12 offenses. So this was a huge deal, and that's why he is the Underclassman of the Week.
It feels like a real canary in the coal mine there for Tech of like what they want to do is a guy like this. That's the guy you gotta win. You gotta win a guy like Isaiah Crawford. If he's in your backyard and he's this kind, he ticks all those boxes. You've got to keep him home.
It's just an interesting story in Lubbock.
Yeah.
To me, they got the win last week over Iowa State. They picked up 5 recruiting wins in the first 10 to 12 days that Joey McGuire's been the head coach there. And what they've done is they've shown that they're not afraid to go after they're not afraid to go after Baylor commits where he just left, right? Like he knows that he has to compete with Baylor. Baylor's at the top of the Big 12 right now, or towards the top. And he's basically has his foot stamped down on the gas pedal right now, and they're going after everybody.
Yeah, he is certainly a star in the making there in Isaiah Crawford there at Post. Let's round it all out with our Recruit of the Week. Our Recruit of the Week, is that right? Yeah, our Recruit of the Week is Rockwall quarterback Braden Locke. Braden Locke, of course, is a longtime commit to Mississippi State. He is noteworthy this week because he is now 6A's all-time leading passer in touchdowns.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, he passed De'Aaron King in
Okay.
6A, the highest classification, rather. And he is now second in 6A. Is that right?
Yep.
Second in 6A in passing leaders as far as passing yards for a career is concerned. He's at 10,838. He is now the 30th member of the 10,000 passing yards club in Texas high school football, and 128 touchdowns is now the most in Texas high school football 6A history. Believe it ranks about, I'm doing some quick math, maybe 15th. He's one behind Scotty Young at Denton Ryan. But certainly a name that you should know is Rockwall quarterback Braden Locke. Just continues to put up big numbers.
And they have a big matchup this weekend with DeSoto. I know that that's a game that a lot of people are really excited to see the outcome of, pitting up two really explosive offenses there, right? Like that's going to be a kind of like a must-see game in the DFW area. That's one that, gosh, what do you think? What are you predicting on the final score on that one?
Oh, geez. Not 10-7.
What would you set the over-under at?
Let's start at 90 and a half.
So there's going to be some points scored.
There's going to be some points. Because both these offenses are outstanding, and both these defenses have been vulnerable at times.
So Locke is just one of those guys who I would describe as a smooth operator, right? He just seems to be able to make the right decisions almost all of the time, and he doesn't play under any kind of great panic. And you notice that right away during his sophomore season. He had, JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba on that team, and they beat Allen that year in the playoffs. And a lot of the accolades did go to JSN, right, because he was the number one player in the state. But they wouldn't have been in a position to knock off Allen and rack up all these victories of the last 3 seasons.
He threw for 4,300 yards that year.
Without a guy like Braden Locke, who showed what he was capable of at a very young age. I think Mississippi State's getting a steal in Locke. And as I told you, we're updating all the rankings list these in the next couple weeks as we prepare for the early signing period in December. He's a guy who's going to move up the list a little bit.
He's really special, and I think maybe we take him for granted. You know
I agree
what I mean?
I feel the same way. That's exactly how I feel.
I think he's a guy that because he's been around for so long, he feels like it's him. Like we take Garrett Rangel for granted. We take all these quarterbacks who are like 3-year starters. Like we're just like, oh, I think in some respects we took Demetrius Davis for granted. Like towards the end, it was like, man, that kid was super special, and it's like Braden Locke is super special, and he's been doing it his whole career, and a guy that at Mississippi State they're going to be pleased as punch to bring him in.
He's been giving us Texas high school football gifts now for 3 years, and he's just been fun to watch, and we will miss him when he's gone, but now he's got his name etched in stone in the Texas high school football record books.
Yeah, a guy who always brings us Texas high school football gifts is Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter, GPowersScout, Next Level Athlete on Twitter. Pickle is smiling. She's laughing so hard. Next Level Athlete, Twitter, Next Level D1. See his final work, texasfootball.com/recruiting. Stick around because I will need you to introduce the next segment.
I'll be here.
Thanks. We're at Texas Football today. We're here every weekday at noon on texasfootball.com, talking football in Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at TCTF, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Hey, Pickle.
Yes.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football has teamed up with Parker University Sports and Performance Centers and Synapse Human Performance Centers to honor some game-winning decisions from across the state of Texas. And we got a big one from week number 12. Grand Prairie fought the entire game, but it wasn't until late in the fourth that they were in striking distance of the win. With 8 minutes remaining in the game, quarterback Savion Red accounted for every yard on the 58-yard game-clinching drive, including the game-tying two-point conversion. The Gophers' defense earned a well-needed 3-and-out before Savion Red picked up a live fumble and found the end zone for the game-winning score. He is our recipient of the Parker University game-winning decision of the year from Dave Campbell's Texas, or game-winning decision of the week, rather, from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Parker University Sports and Performance Centers and Synapse Human Performance Centers treat athletic injuries and provide sports rehabilitation to help get athletes competing as fast as possible. Learn more at synapsehpc.com. That's synapsehpc.com. And congratulations to Savion Red there with the Grand Prairie Gophers. They made a little bit of history because that was Grand Prairie's first playoff win since 1989.
Wow.
So certainly worthy of being the Parker University game-winning decision of the week. Powers, who'd you talk to this week, bud?
We caught up with the newest Texas Tech commitment, 2023 offensive lineman Caden Carr from Amarillo High School. Pick the Red Raiders over offers from schools like TCU, SMU, Oregon, and more. Another big commitment for Joey McGuire and the Red Raiders.
Here is Greg Powers' conversation with Caden Carr of Amarillo here on Texas Football Today.
Greg Powers, TexasFootball.com, and like every week, we're joined by one of the state's top prospects, and this week it's Caden Carr. Thanks for joining us, Caden.
Sure, I'm glad to be here.
Man, I don't want to bury the lead this week. Big news for you happened. You decided to go ahead and pull the trigger with the commitment, and you decided to stay out in West Texas, and you're going to be playing your college football at Texas Tech. Why don't you just kind of recap what role was played in your decision-making process, and what was it about the Red Raiders that really jumped out to you?
So I want to say it kind of goes back to my sixth grade year. My brother was a senior going through high school, kind of doing the whole recruiting thing. He kind of had a late jump to the process, but he ended up going to Tech. Went go there to play tight end. He kind of started the brand of the Carr family right there. So me just kind of growing up, I've always had Tech in my mind. And then I've really always just had Tech in my mind. And then now that McGuire got hired, love his energy. He was one of my one of my first followers on Twitter ever. I'll always remember that. That's what's funny. Him and Coach Blanchard, those were one of the first guys. So, I mean, I love what he's going to do to the program. What he spoke to me about is he's going to change things around there. He brings a fire mentality. That's what I like. That's how my high school coach is right now. I kind of like that fiery mentality, get things going, get things done. I just really love what they're going to do, and I want to be a part of it.
You mentioned Coach McGuire, and I think a lot of people saw, even those people who really aren't familiar with Coach McGuire, saw the passion kind of come through even in his introductory press conference. You know, he seemed really fired up to be the head coach there. Is that something that you feel like translates over to the recruiting process? Because I think you're the fifth commitment, like in a matter of 10 days. It seems like things are, really hot there right now.
Yeah, I bet the guys that also committed, the four other guys along with me, I bet they thought the same thing as I did. I love the mentality he brings. You see a bunch of coaches do it, but not a lot like him. I was watching this video of him at was it Cedar Hill?
Yep.
Yep. I watched that full video of him getting his team ready to play, and that's just the guy he is, and that's the type of coach that I want to play for. And along with Tech, that's just the environment, how passionate the fans are about football. You can just tell. I went to every single one of my brother's games. Even if you're playing at an away game, Texas Tech is gonna bring their crowd. You'll always hear them. They'll be known.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I've been to a couple Texas Tech games myself, and the energy there is always pretty high. You mentioned your brother. Why don't you go ahead and say who your brother's name, and then what did you learn from him, not only going through the recruiting process, but also being a college athlete? I'm sure that probably gives you a little bit of an advantage to just kind of know what it takes to be successful in college.
It does. It is amazing to have an older brother set the path for me like that. Normally kids, maybe like only child that don't, or their parents don't go play, so they're the only ones doing it. So he kind of paved the path for me and opened me up to this stuff early. Like I said, I was sixth grade when he was starting his journey. So I've been just grinding, and then I didn't really see it earlier, but I definitely see it now, and I appreciate him for that.
Kind of talk about your development out there on the field. I mean, you're a prospect who has been on our radar personally for a while. You have already made, some debuts in the DCTF magazines and that kind of stuff. So you're a guy who we know about, but just talk about this season. How do you feel like you started to take your game to the next level, so to speak, to get ready for college? What are you doing well out there?
I said it to myself this last off season. I was still a sophomore, and it was in the spring, and I told myself, I was like, I'm about to be a junior. I was like, I gotta step it up and get ready. And I remember that since every single practice, every single day of this game. I'm the type of guy to bring energy to the field and off the field. That's just kind of the guy I am. I'm so super passionate about football. I just love the game. It's literally every single second of my life I'm thinking about something for football. The most time that I get, I'm out there with the guys on my team. We're out on the field practicing and doing stuff like that, working on our technique, our fundamentals. It's awesome to have a atmosphere of guys that can help you around and love what you do, and they love it too.
I know your body's still developing. You're a young player, and you're already a big guy. Do you feel like there's a natural fit for you on the next level, or did they kind of give you a roadmap of how they see you fitting into their schemes there once you arrive on the college scene?
Okay, so my dad's always told me this. You normally see the stereotypical O lineman being your big, fat, slow guy. And I can say that, but I've always tried to be the different guy, be more quick, athletic, not as the stereotypical huge lineman. So I've always been working towards that. I do probably 1,000 jump rope a night and run a mile with my dad. I've been doing that since probably 6th grade.
Wow.
So that's kind of my training and how I approach things. I want to be more of a quick instead of a necessarily like big guy.
I know you got a teammate there that's also being recruited by Texas Tech, Eric Gray. After you made your commitment, did you start to get in his ear a little bit and say, hey, this is O-line of the future, man. Come join me in college.
Every single second. I've always had since probably 8th grade when we went to the same middle school. He was an 8th grader. I was in 7th grade. But we've always had like a long relationship. I mean, we've been friends for a while now, and I play next to him on the O-line. That just even builds it bigger. I'm definitely going to try to get him over to the Red Raiders.
What have you learned from him? He's got a year of experience under his belt on you, so I'm sure that he probably took you under his wing once you came up on the varsity squad.
A ton. I remember my freshman year. He was a sophomore. I had just got moved up to they announced to me that I was going to be playing in the scrimmage with varsity. So once I switched to they have a freshman field and the varsity field, and I switched over to the varsity turf. The freshmen had to practice on the grass, and the varsity got the turf. So when I made that transition, Eric was he was fired up, but I knew that he was going to be on me a little bit. He was pushing me. He knew what I could be, and he does that every single day. Still to this day, we push each other. He pushes me. He's a super outstanding leader to our football team, and he has been since his sophomore year.
When I think of Amarillo, man, I've been actually covering high school recruiting in Texas going on 20 years now, so I've seen a lot of the guys come through the program there, go on to play in college. But when I think of the school, I think hardworking, blue-collar type of mentality. And I don't know, no matter who the coach has been there, that seems to be like the mind frame of what the team is about. Is that truly how it is there? And
that's our motto is KTA, keep tradition alive. So that's what these coaches are preaching into us, and that's what all these kids are about, just hard workers in the weight room, out on the field, even in the classroom. They preach it. They preach it everywhere, which is awesome. It's kind of like you said, it's like that's how they've always been, and it's awesome to be a part of.
Big game coming up this weekend. I think you guys got Colleyville Heritage. Is that right?
We do.
You got to match up with the DFW team. I mean, what's the focus of the team? What's the mindset of the team right now heading into this game? I know that you just got out of practice, so you guys probably had a big night tonight.
We did. We're getting ready. We've been preparing since we took the win against Del Val. We've just been approaching it like these past two. I mean, they have our number. These past 2 years, they've got us in the second round. So this year, we're going to go down and prove a statement that 806 can compete with the DFW teams.
Whenever you think about like your ideal scenario out there on the field, is there a play that you hope that your coaches are going to call, it's like your favorite play, or you're like, man, this is the number I want to hear.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And what is that play? What do you like to run?
I'm pulling. It's an open and drive, and I'll see the signal on the sideline. That means it's go time right there.
Man, I can't wait to watch some more of that in the future, not only this weekend on the high school field on the gridiron or the Friday Night Lights, but once you transition to college, Caden, I can't wait to see you open up some of those holes for your college teammates, man. Thanks for the time, and you did a great job with the interview tonight, and we can't help but root for you going forward.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Fast scans, happy fans. Hometown Ticketing is proud to be the official digital ticketing solution of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Simplify your school's ticketing with Hometown, providing schools nationwide with the best options for digital ticketings for their events. Visit their website at hometownticketing.com to learn how they can make digital ticketing possible at your school. That's hometownticketing.com. There is Amarillo offensive lineman Caden Carr joining us here on Texas Football today. Good dude. New Texas Tech commit out there in West Texas. Excited to see. They've got a game this week, don't they? They've got
Colleyville Heritage.
Yeah. Colleyville Heritage. Okay, we'll see how it all goes.
I think I don't know. There's something about Colleyville Heritage is really good, but I just feel like it's an older Amarillo team this year. I think that's going to be.
They're a veteran ball
club.
It's
going to be a slugfest.
It will. Oh yeah, it's going to be physical. It is not for the faint of heart.
They've lost that area around game. I think the last 2 seasons.
Yeah,
and
they're out to prove. They're
out to prove something this week.
Yeah.
Interesting game.
Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts. Do you need to sneeze?
Man, I thought it was coming. Like that was painful. Not good. We did have a question for Powers that we're just going to throw out there. Owen Allen, have you heard any stuff on the South Lake running back? Because I think he became like the top rusher in South Lake history.
Can I
too long ago.
I just go on record?
Sure.
And I've said this in multiple other occasions, in multiple other platforms. I think that guy might be like literally the most underrated player in the state. Because
it got overshadowed by Quinn Ewers.
And the whole quarterback situation.
Yeah, it's
right?
like the whole thing with South Lake got really, really overshadowed.
He's so steady, and it's like I don't know.
So good.
I don't know what the deal is. That's a perfect example of a guy that I really like. That like, obviously recruiters are not flocking to him, so they see something that I don't. Is it a size thing? Is it just he's a little
tiny.
undersized?
Yeah.
Well, first off, we do like Owen Allen, and we've had a semi-recent update with him. So I'm just pulling it up to be factual on which schools have been recruiting him the hardest so far. I do think that he's a college level player. I think he might just be slightly outside of like what you would consider as like a hot 100 type of guy. But he's been in our list before. He was one of the guys who was on that top 25 list because he started as a freshman. He was on the top 50 list as a sophomore. And now as things have progressed, some guys have passed him by. And I think one thing that's going to be really important for him from a recruiting standpoint is to get some verified track times and or 40 times at camps. That's kind of going to be what sets him apart. And just like reading through this update that Guy Frazier filed back on September 1st, SMU has been the school that's been in the closest contact with him so far. So he's going to catch some college attention, and with a lot of now schools in Texas moving up to D1/FBS, there's going to be a lot more opportunities for guys to play at that level in the state. So
I think he's
excited about that.
He's a steal for somebody.
Sure.
He's one of those guys that I think.
He reminds me of how we looked at Kedrick Cobbs from Denton Geyer a little
Where
bit.
like, this guy's awesome.
He's
Somebody
undersized, but someone give him an
I
offer.
think he's
like
closing in on
UNT
1,700 yards this. This
season
again.
He's amazing, and I remember watching him back when he was a sophomore at against DeSoto in the area round, and it was like, oh my,
great.
What is this little guy doing? He's so good.
He was like district MVP in his sophomore year. Yeah.
The great.
Or he was a freshman that year.
Line from Guy in his story: when the lights are the brightest, his in-game activity is undeniable.
And
that's a perfect description for him, I think.
He's the kind of guy that I think, not unfortunately, Riley Dodge is not complaining about having a guy like Caden Anderson. But like, if this was a team that, if he played at Katy, we'd be going nuts over him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because just be stylistically, and I think people look at Carroll and they think quarterbacks, and it's like, they've had a run of good running backs. Aaron Luna was an awesome running back.
Here's another thing, just to note, and I'll preface this with saying that colleges have access to huddle tape that is not public, right? They have If you have a highlight tape that's not public, colleges can access it. They see it. But Southlake is not a school, because they're in the state championship hunt, that is going to make all of their huddle tape available for you to see until after the season is done. And Allen's highlight tape may be one of those that people are like, oh, wow, where did this guy come from? We didn't really have a chance to see him before. But you're going to get a chance to look at that, whenever their season wraps up.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Anything
that's some
else,
like
Pickle?
legit recruiting insight there. Powers, good job.
That's what I do.
Yeah. Don't act so surprised. I don't love your tone there. It's like, you actually did something good. Good job. Like, do you want to come tussle his hair or something?
We only watched about 1,000 tapes to write this DTF Rising magazine, which you have to see the cover of and you have to read. It's going to be great this year.
Yeah, I think we're going to reveal the cover next week. So
Yeah.
there's a little tease.
Awesome.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Hey, Powers, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks to Amarillo offensive lineman Caden Carr for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy tomorrow. The picks, Butt Groove Guide, a lot of fun stuff tomorrow on Texas Football Today.